No, but can we talk about the Palestinian faith real quick? Because it's unlike anything I've ever seen. I have quite literally seen videos of people who have lost everything, even their children, and they are holding their dead children in their arms and still thanking God. Still asking God to take care of their children from there. Meanwhile, the people who claim to be of faith and are still backing this genocide could never. You're a bunch of lying ass hoes. You're the same people who love to soak up the book of Job when you're in church. You love hearing that story. You feel so inspired by Job losing everything and still thanking God. Meanwhile, the Palestinians are literally a population of Jobs right now. The Palestinians are doing everything that was described Job doing in the Bible. Still thanking God, still maintaining steadfast in their faith, still being ironclad in their faith, and you're backing their genocide. But my faith, I'm loving. My faith is loving. Hang it up. Because you're a lying ass hoe at this point. So earlier today, I made a video saying how impressed I was with Palestinian faith, because it just seems that Palestinians have this ironclad faith, even in the face of losing quite literally everything. And people were commenting underneath saying, well, yeah, girl, that's Islam. Have you read the Quran? You should probably read the Quran. And I have time. And I was also curious as to how, even in facing genocide, is Palestinian faith so strong? And so I decided to go on Scribd to see if there was an audiobook version of the Quran. There is. And so I started listening straight off the bat, what I'm a fan of. There is no introduction. I even thought that I accidentally skipped over something, because it gets straight to it. Like, there is no once upon a time. There is no in the beginning. There is none of that. It was like, all right, if you do this, then this happens. If you do this, like, it gets straight into it. And by the way, if you are Muslim, I hope I'm not being disrespectful. This is just my experience in reading the Quran for the first time. I'm on like chapter 4 of like 117, but I found some things very interesting. Like, first it said, oppression is worse than murder. And I was like, that's a word. And then it was saying, it was talking about divorce. And I didn't know divorce was allowed. Divorce is allowed in the Islamic religion, or Islam religion. And it was saying how if you're a woman and you get divorced, you have to wait 3 periods. I don't know how long a period is, but you have to wait 3 periods, and then you're okay to remarry, girl. Like, go find your husband. And it was saying if you're a dude and you divorce your wife and you haven't touched her yet, but you promised her a dowry, you still got to pay half that shit. I was like, feminism. And then there was a part in there that I was surprised about. I don't know why I thought it was going to be like the Christian religion where if somebody slaps you, you got to offer your other cheek and everything, because that always bothered me. Like, I'm like, if somebody slaps me, I should be able to slap them back. In the Quran, it says if somebody fights you, you fight them back. You, like, if whatever they do to you, you do to them. And I was like, absolutely. So far, it's been a time. Okay, I have to talk fast, but this is part 2. And I apologize. In the previous video, somebody commented that I was pronouncing Islam and Muslim wrong, because I was using a Z sound instead of a soft S. And I don't know what a soft S is compared to a hard S. I imagine a hard S is like S. So they said use a soft one. So Islam and Muslim. So I'm sorry. But diving right in terms of women, because I was on chapters 4 and 5, and it talks in terms of marriage and technically how like Muslim men can have 2, 3, 4 wives, but you have to be able to afford it. Like, you have to be able to provide for each wife, clothe each wife. And it even says, if you feel you will not be fair, then you only need to be taking one wife or keeping what you have. Basically, if you are not up for the task of being a provider in marriage, then you don't need to be married. Which I was like, oh, come through with the tea. And then there was something else that I really, really liked. It says, if you dislike, meaning like your wife, if you dislike them, it may be that you dislike something in which God has placed much good. Meaning, if you marry a woman and you dislike that woman, but God blessed you with that woman as someone good in your life, as a blessing in your life. So if you dislike that woman, you dislike God's blessing, which makes you a bitch. I like that part. Anyway, there's a lot. Let me tell y'all something. The majority of the responses I've received on previous videos where I'm just sharing what I've enjoyed so far about reading the Quran have been overwhelmingly positive and loving and welcoming. But some responses I've received are just so hateful and weird from non-Muslim people telling me that I should not be spreading Islam, that it's harmful, that it's a dangerous religion, etc., etc., etc. Let me tell you something. I am not spreading anything. I am learning about a religion that over 2 billion people in this world practice. I am learning about my fellow human beings, and there is nothing wrong with that. As a matter of fact, I would encourage you to open your mind just a little bit and try to do the same. You do not have to be Muslim. You do not have to convert. You do not have to do any of that in order to want to understand and become closer to your fellow human beings. Let me show you something. This is the Holy Bible. This was my grandmother's Bible, as a matter of fact. She was apostolic Christian. This is on my bookshelf. She left her Bible to me, her most prized possession. And I do read this from time to time. This is a genealogy book that was left to me by my grandmother. My grandmother was a part of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. She was Mormon. And I do read this and go through it from time to time. I am not Mormon. I am not apostolic. And I still feel love and I still feel closeness to those very important and phenomenal women that were once in my life and that I would like to feel closer to as they have transitioned to the other side. Okay? I'll show you something else. This is the Bhagavad Gita, a Hindu holy book. And this is another Hindu holy book. Both of these were on my bookshelf as well, because I wanted to seek understanding about the other billion people in the world that are Hindu. I do not have to be a part of any religion to want to become closer and more understanding of my fellow human beings. Please stop coming into my DMs with your own bias and prejudice. Please stop that. Please stop that. I have no interest in it. I have an alternate suggestion for those of you who live in California and Chicago and are participating in the Starbucks, McDonald's, Disney boycott. If you are trying to look for a replacement for your Starbucks, Phil's Coffee. Phil's Coffee. This came recommended to me because it's Palestinian owned in California and Chicago, and the flavor profile unmatched. Unmatched. It's phenomenal. This is the Silken Splendor. This is toffee, chocolate, and citrus. And I was like, I would never think to put citrus in my coffee. Superior. Absolutely superior. I thought I had gotten the ecstatic at first, but I forgot that I changed it the last minute. But I was going to get the ecstatic, which is butterscotch, dark chocolate, and citrus. But I also got the plant-powered breakfast sandwich, because I used to get the Impossible breakfast sandwich at Starbucks without the egg and cheese, because I don't know why they did that. Like, I don't know why they offered like a vegan sausage patty but then put egg and cheese in there. Like, girl, the whole reason why we're going without the patty is to have vegan options. This is an actual vegan option, and they use the Beyond sausage, just egg, and the Daya cheese, but they put something else in there. They put something else in this because they put spices or something in this, guaranteed. Like, they season this. They season this. Because I use Beyond sausage, and it don't taste like this. I use just egg and the Daya cheese. It don't taste like this. So they did something to it that is crack cocaine to me. But I highly recommend it. In terms of the Quran reading, a lot of people have been asking if they can read it with me or if we could start a book club and just read the Quran together to just learn more and just share thoughts and everything. So let me know what platform y'all want to hold it on. I don't want to do Geneva. I don't want to do Geneva again. So just let me know. But I would love to have a book club and just discuss it. So let me know. Hello. So the World Religion Book Club has been created. The link is in my bio. I did go with WhatsApp. It's not ideal. I would have preferred Discord because it's just a lot better organized for a book club than WhatsApp. But I did look up to see what countries Discord is available in, and it's banned in China, the UAE, and Egypt. And a lot of my followers are from UAE and Egypt. And I want as many people to be included as possible. And just after further review, it just seemed like WhatsApp was available across the board. And so it's a WhatsApp community. So the link is in my bio if you want to join the community. There are different groups in the community. Since it's going to be the World Religion Book Club, we are going to start with the Quran. So once you join the community, go ahead and join the Quran group. We are going to be starting from the beginning. I know I've already read quite a bit of it, but I am going to go back to the beginning, and we're just going to go through it together. And then there is also different groups for other religious texts, because after we're finished with the Quran, we're going to move on to other religious texts. Because keep in mind, the whole point is to better understand our fellow human beings and just get to know them more, even on a spiritual level. So I'm also including other religions in this book club. So hopefully it's going to be ongoing and it's going to be very enlightening for everyone involved. So go ahead and click the link in the bio to join. It's free. Everyone, we're moving to Slack. I'm sorry if some of you don't have Slack, but WhatsApp is not gonna work. It is not going to work. There was like 300 requests coming in at the same time. The conversation is completely disorganized. It's a disaster. So the good news is, this is going to be a really big book club because I had let like over 100 people in and there were 300 requests pending. So it's going to be a really big book club, but WhatsApp is not going to work, unfortunately. So I'm going to remove the WhatsApp link in my bio. I'm going to replace it with a Slack link. So please give me time to create the Slack first and organize it first. And then I'm going to, for those of you who are already in the WhatsApp, I'm going to post the link to the WhatsApp so that you could join. And then I'm going to post the Slack link in my bio. Again, I'm sorry if you don't have Slack, but something had to give because WhatsApp was just not going to work. So the book club is started, and we're reading the first two juz of the Quran. And I was just telling the group the part where Satan started yapping at the mouth, saying, oh, I'm better than Adam because Adam's made of mud. Aren't you a jinn? Aren't you made of smoke? At least Adam is solid. I could touch him. You're a jinn, sir. You're not even a full angel. I would calm down. I would calm down if I were you. The arrogance, the narcissism. Unbelievable. He really dropped the bag. He fumbled the bag with that one. Then, a member of the group was saying, well, he was like the most loyal jinn, and so God promoted, or like God accepted him into paradise and promoted him into angel, and that's when he started running his mouth. I'm like, you almost had it. You almost had heaven. You're stupid. You're stupid. It has been brought to my attention that there are 2 other genocides happening right now. To my knowledge, to what I've just seen. I was just, because I'm trying to go through all of my tags. I am. I know so many of you have tagged me in so many videos, and I'm trying to go through them. But I just saw this video talking about the Congo genocide that's happening, where there's been over 6 million victims. And then there's another genocide apparently happening in Sudan. I haven't heard of either one of these. And as much love and just phenomenal humanity that I've seen coming forward in support of Palestine, I know that I haven't heard of the Congo and Sudan genocides because the victims are Black and from Africa. And at this point, I try to remain positive. I try to keep everything lighthearted, but what do I do? What do I do? How do I help everyone? What do I do? What can I do for Congo? What can I do for Sudan? What companies are involved? Like, y'all please tell me, and I will. I'll push it. But these leaders in these countries make me sick. So y'all were right. Y'all were right. We're moving to Discord. Okay, we have moved to Discord. So the link in my bio is live. Before you join, keep in mind this club is to directly combat Islamophobia, prejudice, discrimination, hate toward religion, toward ethnicities, toward nationalities. This club is to bring a whole community together of all different people from all different walks of life, okay, and celebrate our differences, celebrate a beautiful religion that is Islam, okay, and other religions we will be studying down the line as well. It's a world religion book club, okay? This is going to be fun. We're going to be playing games. We're going to be having movie nights, like the whole 9. Please keep that in mind, okay? Because I know in Slack, there were a lot of people that were super excited that people were learning the Quran for the first time, and they just started sending all kinds of links for recitations and hadiths and just all different types of information. I think it became very overwhelming. Okay, so we want to keep this group lighthearted, keeping in mind that so many of us are learning for the very first time. So we want to have fun with it. We want to have a lot of fun with it. Keeping in mind, we know there's etiquette. We know there's certain things that we have to keep in mind when studying the Quran. But let's just have fun. Let's have a blast doing it. Y'all, we have over 5,000 members of the book club now. And I would say my biggest source of pride in this book club is how many misconceptions are being completely destroyed, including my own. And just how many people from all different religions and backgrounds can come together and just tackle that, just tackle harmful stereotypes and misconceptions and set the record straight on behalf of what they believe in. And it has been just so incredibly valuable. It's so phenomenal to see how many people are kind of, opening their eyes and minds a bit more and realizing that religions all over the world are actually interconnected. And to get the full context of one, you need to know about another. And it's been so phenomenal to see both Muslims and non-Muslims alike coming forward and saying, it's interesting that you believe this because we over here in Christianity believe this, or we believe this in Judaism, or it's fantastic to see that. And it's fantastic to just connect the dots. As someone who did not grow up in religion and has always been fascinated by religion, I've considered myself an omnist before this, and that's the belief that every religion holds some truth, but not one religion holds all truth. And this has just been an affirmation of that it's to get the full picture, if you are seeking spiritual truth, is to take everything in and learn about all different types of religion and just see the puzzle pieces come together. So I'm very proud and very excited to see where it goes. Okay, it has been brought to my attention that they have completely, officially shut off the internet in Gaza, and there is a complete blackout at the moment. I also received word last night that they will be gassing, yes, gassing, the tunnels in Gaza, which will lead to just even more devastation and deaths please correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm just getting this information in all at once, but if I'm not mistaken, it's going to be neurogas that they use. It is so incredibly important for us to really follow the pages that are paying attention and recording what's happening in Palestine. I haven't checked to see if my favorite journalist, who I do follow on my Instagram. If you do go to my Instagram, go to who I follow. Eyes on Palestine has been reinstated. Instagram deleted that account when they reached 6 million. So it's slowly being built back up, but I do follow Eyes on Palestine, and I do follow another journalist, which I'm just, in this moment, I'm blanking on his name, but both of those pages have been absolutely instrumental in keeping track of what's been happening in Palestine. And now the internet connection has been completely cut off. I have no idea what effect that's actually going to have, and how we are going to get what is actually going to be going on. So everyone, it's all hands on deck. Please start paying attention and following those who still have some information coming out of Gaza. So my last video informing the public that Gaza had internet cut off and they are in a complete blackout, apparently that video violated community guidelines for hate speech and hateful behaviors and violent and hateful organizations and individuals. I'm just disgusted. I'm absolutely disgusted with not just TikTok, but all of the social media platforms that are quite literally assisting in this genocide by doing shit like this. Y'all, I'm getting so sick of TikTok. I was just on live. We were reading the Quran live together and listening to the recitations, and TikTok's gonna revoke my live access because we were on Yusuf, the Surah Yusuf, which is Joseph, for those of you who are familiar with the Bible. And they immediately revoked my access just because I said a Jezebel seduced Joseph. We were on that part. And they said it was for hate speech or hateful behaviors. Because I said Jezebel? Is that not true? Was that not true? They revoked my whole access. It was educational. We were all learning the Quran together. And they revoked my access just because I said a Jezebel seduced Joseph. We all know that a Jezebel seduced Joseph. That's not hate speech. I really hope this letter signed by all these trash celebrities, I really hope this is the beginning of the death of the whole concept of celebrity. Because the fact that we as a society have held so many human beings on the level of God for so long, simply because they're entertaining or simply because they're beautiful, is absolutely ridiculous. Is absolutely ridiculous. And the letter really shouldn't have come as a surprise to anybody. When you think about it, people are saying Paul Rudd, Jack Black. I mean, we just know what we see. We don't know these people personally. We've never met them a day in our life. We have not spent a single day with them. So it should come as no surprise that they did something like this. They're celebrities for a reason. You know what has to happen in order for someone to surpass the level of just a regular actor or just the level of a regular singer and reach celebrity status? Some stuff has to go down. Some messed up stuff has to go down. morals have to be compromised. Like, there is no celebrity that hasn't done something grimy. Believe that. So I hope this is the beginning of the end of us holding celebrities to such a high standard. So y'all know how I have been reading the Quran with the World Religion Book Club because I have been wanting to combat Islamophobia in the wake of Gaza, because a lot of opposition, or just from what I'm seeing, the reason why so many people dare refute that this is an actual genocide is because of Islamophobia. And I do know that there are Palestinians who are Christian. There are Palestinians who are Jewish. But from what I'm seeing from the dehumanization side of things of Palestinians, that is very much fueled by Islamophobia. And so I found it important to start with the Quran in the World Religion Book Club. And I've been thoroughly enjoying reading the Quran and learning about Islam. But what I will say, as someone who is brand new, who hasn't read it prior, has had no prior knowledge of the Quran, what is overwhelming is not the Quran itself. It is everyone's interpretation of it, because everyone seems to have a different interpretation, and they'll tell you to go to the scholars. Like, don't listen to just your everyday person. Go to the scholars of the Quran and go to their interpretations of it. But the scholars don't agree either. So it's very overwhelming and exhausting from that aspect, because when I'm reading the Quran, it just seems easy. It seems like super straightforward. But then when I say something out loud of what I think something is, I will get a resounding, no, that's not what it means. And so I'm just like, oh, okay. This is advice for my young activists, for my young people, late teens, early 20s, that are just entering activism now. That Gaza has sparked something in you to enter your activism journey. Please pace yourself. Okay, take it from somebody who has been an activist since I was 17 years old up to now when I'm 34. Okay, so spent many years being an activist, and I've seen it all. I've been on Capitol Hill speaking face to face with senators and begging them to pass a bill that would save millions of lives. I've been on the local level in town halls begging mayors to not build a private prison in my city. I've been marching on streets. I've been writing letters. I've been calling. I've done it all, and I've seen wins and even more losses. You are going to burn yourself out if you do not make it a priority to fit just a little bit of joy in your day. For me right now, it's not realistic for me to focus on my hobbies like reading romance novels or crocheting or embroidering. I don't have that time because Gaza is on a second to second basis. Okay. So what I decided to do was decorate my place for Christmas. It's not much, but at least when I glance up from my laptop or from my phone, I could have that moment of joy and get back to work. Y'all, I was just in the live of this man named Abostani, Abostani. He came highly recommended to me because I'm reading the Quran and he's highly knowledgeable about it or whatever. And this was my second time in one of his lives. I caught the end of one. And so he's been reading Al-Baqarah, the Surah 2, in increments because he like breaks it down. And so he was still on Al-Baqarah today. And I was listening in and he was like looking off screen while he was talking about ayahs. And I kept looking and I was like, does this man have it memorized? And so I put it in the comments like, does this man have this memorized right now? And people in the comments were like, yeah, a lot of people memorize it because we learn it from childhood. And so we have it all memorized. A whole book? And this man had it memorized in Arabic and English. And you could tell that he's had it memorized for a long time because of how fast he was with it. You could tell he knew it like the back of his hand. How? I have Duolingo downloaded. I'm trying. I could not imagine. So let's say you want to learn about your fellow man. And since like half of the world's population is religious, you want to learn about half the world's population by studying world religions like we're doing, okay? Even if you're not religious, even if you are atheist, even if you don't believe in a particular God or whatever, read for the tea, honey. Read these books for the tea. Listen, the story of Yusuf, I've read about 3 times because it is unbelievable. The piping hot tea that is in that book. First of all, Yusuf is supposed to be fine. It's said in the Quran that Joseph, if you're Christian, familiar with the Bible, holds the beauty of half the world, or half the world's beauty. You know how fine you have to be to hold half the world's beauty? And he was so fine that a group of women in the Quran, when he walked in, it was the king's wife or whatever, showed her little lady friends, like said, "Hey Joseph," because Joseph was in the palace as a servant. She said, "Hey Joseph, come in, like I need you to do something." And then all of her friends were around. They were cutting up fruit, right? They cut their hands. They were cutting up their own hands because they were distracted by his beauty. Imagine how fine this man is. But the tea continues from there. So then the king's wife tries to seduce Joseph, and Joseph is like, "I'm a man of God. Like, you need to back up off me, you a Jezebel." And she was just like, that ain't gonna happen. And so he sprinted to the door, honey, to get away from her. She sprinted after him, tore the back of his shirt. They opened the door. Her husband's on the other side, honey. And listen, her husband was like, "What's happening here?" And he was like, "It's not what you think. I'm a man of God." And then there was a woman that was just peeping in, like, was just like, "All right, well, if you were a man of God and she was after you, your shirt will be torn from the back. But if he was after her, his shirt will be torn from the front." And he said, "Ha, peep the shirt. It was torn from the back." The king still put him in jail, even with all the tea, or even with all the receipts. Y'all need to read for the tea, honey. I don't know how many times I've tried to record this video. I'm going to try to get through it this time. But y'all, I know you're used to the Quran content, but let's not forget how it started. This is updates on Gaza. As of today, November 2nd, there have been 9,061 deaths, including 3,760 children. Over 23,000 have been injured, and we do not know how many of these injuries have resulted in further death. There are currently 2,060 missing persons, including 1,150 children who are still under the rubble. "100 health institutions were targeted, including 16 hospitals and 32 primary care centers. A major cancer treatment center is now completely without fuel or resources. Those of you who have followed me for a while know that both of my parents had cancer. My mother survived and my father did not. I could not imagine them not having access to clean treatment or pain medication, or my father having to die in the dark. All right, this is part 2. It's very important that I share this information. The occupation prevents the evacuation of the wounded from hospitals in Gaza in the north to the Arab Republic of Egypt. Because of the destruction of healthcare facilities, women in Gaza are now undergoing C-sections without anesthesia. Hysterectomies are also being performed to save women's lives, which they would otherwise not need if resources were available and they could undergo proper treatment. As a result of the destruction of these healthcare facilities, women are also dying in childbirth, going into premature labor, or giving birth to stillborn children. Women who are menstruating in Gaza are going without sanitary products. Hostages are being taken from the West Bank and being tortured by IDF. At least 100 have been killed at the Jabalia refugee camp as of yesterday, including 19 family members of an Al Jazeera employee. People of Gaza have gone without water in 6 days and have resorted to drinking contaminated water that could lead to total liver failure in 2 years' time. Bolivian President Luis Arce has ended all diplomatic relations with Israel. And this came at the request of another one of my book club members, but they wanted me to include that Apple Music and Spotify have banned Anadami Falastini.